My name is Yingling. I'm the commanding officer of the Pennsylvania Light Foot Militia. I'm notorious for being quiet when I speak, so if I start to get quieter, just let me know. I'll try to keep my voice up so that everybody can hear me. A lot of things have been addressed today in relationship to what the militia was doing here on August 12th. A lot of things have been brought up about the lawsuit. I'm not really going to touch on all that other than to say that we will beat the lawsuit. We have, this is not our first dance. We have done this many times before, and we have gotten very good at keeping records. That being said, what I do want to address is some of the questions that people have given to us, especially residents of Charlottesville, people even outside of Charlottesville who don't know who we are, don't know what we do or why we exist. The gentleman back there brought up about the statement that the Pennsylvania Light Foot doesn't have a good reputation. The reason we don't have a good reputation is because reputations don't get ratings. I'm myself, George, Francis, a few others, we're extremely prominent in the patriot community, especially within the militia. And the media would seek to make that go away. Because what we represent as a militia is the people. Amen. And I really have to stress that point because one of the biggest reasons people fear the militia is because when people see the militia gather together, what that is a microcosm of what would happen if this country gathered together. Because we gather together and we say, look, we are not going to put up with this, we are not going to put up with that. And man, you made a statement, you said something along the lines of the fact that, if Trump violates the Constitution, will we stand up to him? Well, I'm here to tell you, when the BLM under President Obama was trying to run the Bundys off their land out in Nevada, I was one of the people that stood against them. So yes, we would. We truly stand for the Constitution. When the government violates that Constitution, we will stand against them. That being said.
BLM being the Bureau of Land.
Yeah, Bureau of Land Management, I'm sorry. Not Black Lives Matter, Bureau of Land Management. Two different organizations.
Did you notice the silence?
I didn't even catch that until he looked at me. I'm like, oh
no. Well, we need you guys standing right.
Yeah, so let me make that clear. I'm speaking in reference to the Bureau of Land Management. But in all seriousness, we are a misunderstood lot. And I don't want us to come here and I didn't, a lot of these guys came with pre-prepared statements. I've done a lot of public speaking in my life. I never prepare a statement. Never. Because if I prepare a statement, and nothing against anybody who has, but if I prepare a statement, I feel that's not genuine. That's not from my heart. What you're hearing coming out of my mouth right now is 100% off my hip and from my heart. So it's God's honest truth. I have nothing to lie about. I don't hide anything. Any of the gentlemen here who stood with me or stand with me regularly will tell you that.
Were y'all soldiers in the war? I mean, it's army?
Yes, I'm a veteran, yes ma'am.
You're a veteran, yeah. My son is too.
I'm ex-Navy. But, so, to continue with what I was saying, we in the militia were a misunderstood lot. Nobody really likes us because nobody really knows who we are. And we saw it. We saw that firsthand here on the 12th. Because we had these alt-right people who thought we were there to protect them, walking behind us, thanking us, until they realized that when they're taking pokes at Antifa, that we're turning around, hey, that's not going to happen. We're not going to let you do that. And we made it clear to everybody, and we initiate conversations with people when we go to these rallies to let people know that. And that is a problem for us to find a way, and that's something that we will be addressing, is to find a way where we can address the community in some form before we come to something like this.
That's a good point.
But we do make multiple efforts to deal with local law enforcement, local government, before we show up at these things. The question of would you defend, say, Richard Spencer versus would you just spend or support like, somebody on the left, a Saul Alinsky type. Would you support this person? Would you support that person? It's not a matter of who we support, and it's never been. It's never been. And one thing that I demand out of all my people, the minute we step out on the field, is that regardless of what your political views are, they are left at home. When we step out on that field, we are truly a neutral third party. It doesn't matter if I support Trump or if I dislike Trump, it's irrelevant. When I step out on the field, when these guys stepped out on the field, we were there solely for the reason to make sure that just people could say what they wanted to say without getting violent. Without getting violent. We don't support people getting violent. We didn't support those guys bringing flagpoles or Antifa bringing any of the stuff that they threw. We didn't support any of that. What we do support and what we do encourage is healthy conversation. And we go through very painstaking measures to initiate those conversations when other people don't want to have them. Because if we initiate them, then maybe more people will have them. I tell my guys all the time, don't expect to change the world. If you want to change the world, you're going to change it one conversation at a time. And that's what we seek to do. When we talk to people, we talk to them one-on-one. I don't speak to them as the Pennsylvania Light Foot. I speak to them as Christian Yingling. I'm not an organization, I'm a person. And the people in my organization who serve under me are all good people, I assure you, 100%. Like George said, don't buy into the media frenzy just because it gets ratings. Go by what you see with your own eyes. Engage these people, you know what I mean? If you don't know who I am, feel free to come up and talk to me, and I will talk with you for hours. And I want to hear about where you come from, and I want to hear about what you believe, and I want to tell you about what I believe. And at the end of the day, if you don't believe what I believe, well, maybe we do both believe about this. And we can work on that, and then we'll build outward from there. And then when we get way out here, guess what? Now all of a sudden, we're working on things we never thought we could have worked on before. That's what the militia is. That's what the militia is. That's what we stand for. That's what all the groups who stood with us that day stand for. And that's what all the people should stand for. We don't want you guys to be afraid of us. We want you guys to welcome us. We want you guys to be more like us. Because when the people come together as a whole, just like Tanisha said, Richard Spencer and Kessler and their cronies, they can gather up here in the park and run their mouths. But if the entire city of Charlottesville shows up and says, hey, you're out of here, there ain't going to be nothing the police or anybody else can do to stop you.
That's what we have to do.
And that's what you got to do.
Yep.
That's what you got to do. And that's why a lot of police departments are very skeptical of us, because we represent that. We represent that coming together of people. So we try to put out a message that, look, the people need to get together. The people need to stand together. And if you don't want those people in your city, then you guys got to come together as a people. And what we did that day, all we did was planted a seed. You guys got to make it grow. Right, left, doesn't matter. You guys need to come together in this city, in cities across the nation, and say, look, we're not going to tolerate this. We are just not going to tolerate this kind of talk. I don't care if it's from the right or the left. Because at the end of the day, we're all brothers and sisters. So in closing, I want to say, I commanded those guys out there that day. Regardless of what happens with this lawsuit, I accept full responsibility for what we did. I'm not ashamed of what we did. I'm proud of each and every guy that stood here, because these guys risked their lives for you, with no payment, with no thanks, and a whole bunch of heartache.
We got the community bank.
Thank you.
Yes, you did. And we greatly